Alright guys, welcome back. So last video I did, I was working on the Tomcat here, and I've got to hurry up and get this thing done because I didn't realize it, but Mississippi Jets is next week. I was thinking 2 weeks from now. So I got to get this done and get back on the F-22 because I want to get that done and maidened at the event. So, oh, killing me. That's spam. Anyways, sorry about that, guys. So, if you're following the videos, what I was trying to do was switch out these old stock linear actuators that swing the wing. They have a control box and they run off a 12-volt battery. I'm using a 3-cell ion, which is 11.1. And the problem was, or so I thought, it would only go full in, full back, or full out on the wings. What I wanted was a intermediate position, or to be able to put it wherever I want, like the real Tomcat. The real Tomcat didn't swing the wings fully very often. It was more of a halfway position. And what I've been told, the stock setting isn't right either. But I'm not going to fool with the endpoints of full out or full back. What I want is an intermediate position. So I was going through the ass pain of trying to adapt the new RC linear actuator to that metal case that's on the S version, which is the which is not an old version, it's just a different version. There's an R, there's an S. These are the S. The R is the more receiver. It works just like a servo. It's fully proportional, things like that. Works off 6 volts versus 12. So those weren't fitting. So what I was like, well, then I'll just put the other ones in with the plastic cases on it and be done with it. Well, a gentleman posted on my last video, and I tell you, that's a perfect example of why I do this. Is I build these and do these videos to help people that can make an informed decision about a product they're getting, because a lot of these Asian models are crap. And you pay $10,000 for a jet and you have to re-engineer it to make it safe to fly, or they crash it and waste this is nearly $20,000 sitting here. And that was, gosh, that was 9 years ago. But anyways, I digress. So I do that, or do this for that reason, to help people, to promote the hobby, to give people kind of like a video manual and lessons learned. And oh, by the way, I learned stuff, which is great. So this guy posted and said that he operates his wings on a slider and can put it at any position he wants. And I'm like, well, then you must have the newer RC friendly version. He's like, no, I've got the old control box version. I'm like, well, how are you doing that? So my brain starts ticking, tick, 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 tick. So I was like, well, I'll come home and I'll put it on a slider versus a switch. And then it dawned on me what he was saying. And I was like, oh my God, how did I not think of that when I got this? So as it is now, this is what you normally get. You flip the switch. Oh, hold on. Oops, let me quieten some servos. Wrong switch. So you just touch these flaps and they shut up. So full out and full back. This is what you would normally get. And you wouldn't have any control when it's on a switch, which that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be able to stop it halfway. Well, to do that, based off what he said, and putting it on a slider, which is, I didn't think it would work like this, but all he's doing is taking the slider, making it swing, and then he's going back neutral on the slider and it stops. Now, it's not shutting power off to the linear actuator. It still has power to the actuator, but you can make it go wherever you want. It's not the ideal way to do it, because you kind of have to guess where it's at, and you'll probably never get it to the same position every time you fly. But what I'm going to do is do a time. So like hit the button or hit the switch, 1001, 1002, and then stop. And I'll do this from full out. So say it's full out in the out position. So I'm gonna hit, say, let's do, it's supposed to be about 5 seconds. So let's do 3 seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003, bam. And that's where I will fly at most of the flight. The only thing that sucks about that is I'll have to get a new stab throw for something like this, because when I had it on the switch, it cuts when the wings are fully back, this gets real sensitive. So when, like, this is your full throw as it is when the wings are fully out. When you sweep them, it drops to this. That's all you get when the wings are swept. As far as aileron roll, it gets very sensitive. So I'll probably just use the same setting for the sweep wing with it in this kind of halfway position, unless it isn't enough throw. And what I'll do is I'll also activate these again. See, these work as your ailerons when they're fully out. And I'll also have to put an inhibit on this so the flaps won't deploy. Like right now, if the wings are back, the way I had them, the flaps won't do anything. But if they're out, let me get them out here, the flaps will activate. There's landing flaps, takeoff, and it has leading edge and flaps. And you kind of see there's a little bit of a pitch change on the stab with flaps, quite a bit actually. There's about an inch. And then as soon as you swing those wings, flaps won't come down, or if you have the flaps down. So watch this. So if flaps are down and I swing the wings, they come up and they swing. Now I can stop them. Bam. Whew, that's annoying. Very annoying. All right, so that essentially fixes the Tomcat. It is done. I got the fuel leak fixed. I removed a couple of things, reran some things. I've got to add a couple little things like a little mount there for the hoses to hold them, and clean up the things that are no longer there, or just they used to have a place to mount, but when I removed those inlets, which I'm not going to put them back in, there's no reason those inlets need to be in there in my opinion, other than just the looks and giving some airflow directly to the motor. But it's maybe 10 inches, if that, distance. So, and it's fairly, you know, it should be fine. So, but I do need to recheck the CG on it. It shouldn't change much, if any, because I didn't really add any weight. I didn't lose any weight other than those little inlets, and they don't weigh much. I mean, they're like paper thin anyway. So I'm just going to run it like it has been, and I will do the wings like this. I think that's the best option. And then get back on the F-22 time. But the struts are in. I know you guys have seen that, but the struts are all done and working. I'm going to do a functions check when I actually run the motors this week, and pressurize everything, make sure all the air stuff's working. And oh, air stuff, I found another leak. The gear BVM fill is leaking. Like if I put a piece of tube in, like I was putting my finger over it with some suds, I never thought to check these before, but I've had them leak in the past, and it was bubbling. Just a small little leak. So I put a hose in there that was real tight, ran it down to a cup of water, and it would blip, blip, blip. Because this one came down after sitting all night. So once I fix that, that will be all the air leaks, and it should hold pressure as long as I need it to. But yeah, that's the Tomcat, y'all. And if you come to Mississippi Jets, you know, stop by the tent and say, hey, I'll have this, I'll have the A7, and hopefully the F-22. And we usually have a fair amount of jets in the tent, because I hang out with the guys from Mobile, which one of the guys from Mobile will fly a full-scale MiG sometimes, or he's got like a T-33 and some other aircraft. So he may fly a military jet, real one, to the event. And he usually puts on like a display. So, but I'm going to call it on this video. I'm going to get all this stuff cleaned up. I'm going to move it to a test table, and then I'm going to jump back on the F-22. I am at a point on this guy where I need to hook up all the all the leads to the power system, program the radio. I got to put some XT60s here, mount the batteries, and then once the batteries and everything's hooked up and everything's working, I'll kind of soft mount the center tank. I'll hook up the lines and I'll just leave it sitting here, and if I need to slide it out of the way, I can. And then once everything's ready to go and it's CG time, I will just hard mount the center tank and we're good. So, but you guys have a good one. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you can. Do the typical YouTube stuff. Helps me out. I'm trying to grow the channel some, and the shop will continue to get better and more organized. I got a few things left. I just I had to take a break from the shop once it got to this stage, because I started October of last year and worked solid up until Christmas. Went to the mountains, came back and worked solid up until, you know, February, which is when they did the floor. So it was nice to take a little break, but I'll eventually get some nice storage, garage cabinets and benches everywhere around the walls, and I'll get all these outlets finished. So plenty of plugs where I need them. But you guys have a good one, and I'll talk to y'all later. Cheers.